Welcome to Buffalo After Dark, everybody. It's your Wednesday night uncensored, unfiltered, and unafraid sports show. You still up? This episode of Buffalo After Dark starts now. Welcome to Buffalo After Dark, everybody. It is actually Thursday night, February 23rd. And, of course, we had a little scheduling thing. We're back here. Good thing. We've got an hour. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of trades in the NHL, especially some big trades that came up today. And then also we got some stuff coming in the NFL where we have some moves happening. So how's your week been going, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Tom. Again, for the 100-something thousandth time. But
yeah, we're only 121 episodes in just on this show alone. And then you figure all the other stuff we used to do.
Absolutely.
So by this point, it's probably, at least 200-something episodes?
Something like that. I mean, I kind of came out of my little fortress like Aaron Rodgers did.
There you go. Yep.
Whatever that was. The darkness retreat bullshit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was talking a little bit about that on McAfee's show before they went on their 2-week vacations. So, well, which it is kind of funny because McAfee and his group will be back on Monday. So yeah, we'll actually have some afternoon entertainment now again. But anyways, we'll get right to it. If you want to jump in and talk with us, 929-205-6099 will get you on the air. And one of the biggest things that we're still talking about, and this is still definitely in the news, there's still interest with Timo Meier coming here to the Sabres. And I know when Andy was talking with us in his chat earlier, I know he's working, but when he was talking with us earlier, he's like, Kevin Adams, why are you taking so long to get a deal done? But yet, at the same time, they're still kicking the tires on Timo Meier. And on top of it, the Sabres have a great cap position right now.
Well, the way I look at it is Timo Meier is a good player. And you have to understand something. And I think that's something Andy is forgetting, is Timo Meier is an RFA. So whoever trades for him, that team is going to have to pay him a big load of money depending on what the asking price is. And I think it also comes down to conditions of the pick. It also comes down to what they'd give up in a trade and things like that. So, and I have read that The Athletic basically reported it, that Mike Grier is dealing with 3 teams. He said New Jersey was one, Buffalo was the other. I think St. Louis was brought up recently because of the other 2 first-round picks they got in the last couple of weeks, especially in that Ryan O'Reilly trade that just happened not too long ago.
We'll talk about that in a few.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get to that. But the whole Timo Meier thing is just so interesting because you don't really know who he's getting traded to, but a lot of people just automatically assume right away that he's just going to get traded to New Jersey, and then that's the end of it. And I'm just sitting there thinking, well, how is that possible? Because of the news that came out recently was Vladislav Gravikov was supposed to get traded to the Boston Bruins, and they had a, quote, trade in place, but Columbus said, take your time, find a deal, but you can. And the Bruins, in order for it to work, they had to go and trade Craig Smith's contract. And Carolina was the team to be interested. And it turns out that they did not get a deal in place. And so what they did was something else, which we're also going to talk about later. So the whole point I'm trying to make is that Timo Meier is getting interest from more than one team. Buffalo, New Jersey, Carolina, St. Louis, Winnipeg. I was going to say Toronto. I was going to say the Rangers. But you could basically count those teams out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And of course, would Meier be a great addition to the team? Absolutely he would. He would absolutely help fill a gap that we have on this team right now. But then again, only time will tell because we're just getting started with a lot of these trades that are coming down the pike. But one of the other things that came up, and this was a huge trade that really kicked off all of the fun and festivities, but Ryan O'Reilly ended up getting traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it was a 3-way trade. So basically, the Maple Leafs get Ryan O'Reilly and Noah Kari from the St. Louis Blues, and then the Blues get a 2023 first-round pick, a 2023 third-round pick, a 2024 second-round pick, forward Mikhail Abramov, forward Adam Gaudette. The Blues actually kept 50% of O'Reilly's $7.5 million cap hit. The Wild got involved, and they're going to take the 25% of his salary in exchange for that. The Wild gets Toronto's 4th-round pick in the 2024 draft. So I guess my first question is, what is Dubas thinking? Because basically he had to work some salary cap stuff, but it's like now okay, you've got Austin Matthews, you've got John Tavares, you've got Ryan O'Reilly. Your cap situation just got even worse.
It did. When I first heard the reaction of the trade, my first initial reaction was, fuck!
And of course he gets a hat trick on his first game back, first game as a Maple Leaf against us, which we conveniently lost.
Oh, that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
That is a work of art. But I do have I have mixed feelings about that trade. For one, Ryan O'Reilly, and I think the Leafs know this, he is nothing more than a rental. And if the Leafs somehow win the Stanley Cup, it's going to be because of Ryan O'Reilly. I don't see that happening for the 7th time in a row. I don't see it happening because what makes people think getting Ryan O'Reilly is going to all of a sudden get you past the first round?
Yeah, and they can't even do it with Austin Matthews and John Tavares. So.
No, and the problem is, too, is John Tavares has a good 2 years left on his current deal. Matthews is a free agent after this year. Marner is a free agent after next year. And then Nylander's contract, I think, kicks in around the same time. I think he has like 3 years left on his current deal. So there's a lot going on with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And the Leafs absolutely know that Ryan O'Reilly is not staying in Toronto after this year because they can't afford it. But I also should mention that in the deal that you mentioned as well, the Leafs also got prospect Josh Pillar from the Minnesota Wild as part of the deal because of the Wild retaining 25% of the salary for Ryan O'Reilly. Because originally he was getting flipped to the Wild, and then because of all this, he got traded to the Leafs as part of the deal. So he wasn't even going to stay in Minnesota for that long to begin with.
Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy with how that whole deal went down, but. Toronto's got a lot of issues to worry about, and if they think that O'Reilly's going to be the person that puts them into the Cup Finals, I doubt it. I mean, right now Toronto's got to learn how to just get past the first round. And the thing is, and I know Luffy would probably say a little something different, but Toronto's overrated.
Well, I think everybody and their mothers know this, but I would say that another reason why I think the Leafs went after O'Reilly. I mean, let's be honest, it's only 10 years late.
Yeah,
it's only 10 years late, and because they've been bombarded before he was traded to the Sabres, everybody in the national media would just give the Leafs a massive blowjob about getting Ryan O'Reilly, and it just became this big ecstatic thing. So it's like, what do you do in that situation? Okay, you trade for Ryan O'Reilly, big deal. You could have had him at 23, but you failed. So what does it matter now? But at the end of the day, though, I like the deal for St. Louis only because of the first round of the picks they got. Adam Gaudette, he's just a throw-in. Mikhail Abramov might be something. I'm not entirely convinced. But the thing that matters the most about the trade is the Blues now have combined in total got rid of about 16 to 15 million in cap. 15 to 16 million in cap has been relieved by the St. Louis Blues. So now they're going to have all this cap to make another big trade. And again, I mentioned it, that they were in the conversation to get Timo Meier, but I don't think that's going to happen because the Blues are nowhere near in contention to make the playoffs right now.
Right. Yeah, they've had a brutal season, and I mean, not as bad as the Blackhawks, but we'll talk about that in a few moments too, because there might be some things going on with Patrick Kane. But the other major deal, and this actually just came out earlier today, Washington, Boston, they ended up doing a deal. And, of course, Minnesota was involved again as well. So basically with what happened, the Boston Bruins acquired Dmitry Orlov and Garnet Hathaway in a three-way trade with the Caps and the Wild. So basically the Bruins sent forward Craig Smith, a 2023 first-round pick, a 2025 second-round pick, and a 2024 third-round draft pick to the Capitals for Hathaway and Orlov. Then Orlov is basically going to be at a discount because what's going to happen is the Caps are going to retain 25% of the salary, which is worth about $2.5 million of his cap hit. The Wild are going to pick up the tab for $1.2 million after the Bruins sent them their 2023 fifth-round pick and Andrei Svetlikov. So basically what happens is that the Bruins are only going to owe about $1.2 million on the cap. And here's the thing. Hathaway's in the final season of a 4-year, $6 million contract, which has a $1.5 million cap hit. So basically what's going to happen, yes, altogether it saves Boston about $325,000 in cap, but Boston just got tougher with that trade.
Yeah, I know they were rumored to get Vladislav Gravikov, but the deal, for what this trade tells me, the trade did not go through as far as Gravikov to Boston goes, because everybody was saying Gravikov's going to Boston. The deal was this, and I mentioned it earlier about Craig Smith. And Craig Smith was a contract that was being discussed as a contract that was going to get moved because he's a penny UFA anyway at $3.5 million for the cap. And in order for the Bruins to make the money work, they had to move his contract. And that was the situation that was going to be put in with Gravikov to the Bruins. And the ordeal with Columbus was, we're willing to wait, but don't take forever. That's basically what it was. And this deal outright confirms it. That getting Orlov and Garnet Hathaway certainly helps. And I should also mention the Bruins getting Andrei Slavnikov in the deal as well from Minnesota. And Minnesota got a free fifth-round pick from Boston in that deal for basically taking on the remainder of that salary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then another thing that's going to come out is, there is some speculation right now, but Patrick Kane might go to the Rangers.
Yeah, I read that earlier. Nothing is going to happen tonight. But a lot of people are saying that Vitaly Kravtsov got scratched, and Jake Leseshin, who's Curtis Leseshin's kid, who's a prospect for the Rangers, he's being brought up in trade discussions as well. But the problem is that they can't do it because Patrick Kane has the say of whether he wants to go or not, and he's basically holding the whole league hostage because of his no-trade clause. But there was another deal that took place the night before this trade, and that was the one. I don't know if you saw this. Nikita Zaitsev was traded to the Chicago Blackhawks. You saw this?
I did see a little bit of it.
All right, so in case you're wondering, I'm going to read you the full details because you read the last two. This is the deal that happened yesterday. And the funny thing is, I was actually at McDonald's getting dinner because my wife was with her mom for the night. So I went and got dinner for myself. And I was waiting in line at McDonald's. And the next thing you know, I get a message that said, the Chicago Blackhawks have traded for the rights for Nikita Zaitsev. So it basically turns into this. So the Ottawa Senators have traded defenseman Nikita Zaitsev along with a 2023 second-round pick and a 2026 fourth-round pick to the Chicago Blackhawks for, quote, future considerations.
So in turn, he gets nothing, basically.
Well, I kind of look at this deal as one of two ways. I see this as both a loss and a win for Chicago. For one, Chicago, as garbage as they are, they're getting themselves somebody that's ready to play next year.
Yep.
And they also got a free second and a free fourth in 3 drafts from now. Mm-hmm. Especially when it maybe at that point where Ottawa gets better. We really don't know because the Ottawa Senators are kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
But future considerations, if you look at the cap that Zaitsev has been holding, he has been bitching about being traded out of Ottawa for at least a year and a half, and he finally got what he wanted. I mean, didn't matter what team? I don't think so. But I think as long as he was not in Ottawa, I think that's all that mattered. But I think for the Ottawa Senators, it gives them a good load of cap. Because I actually read a report today. I don't know how accurately true this is, but supposedly the Ottawa Senators are looking at making a trade with the Coyotes to get Jacob Chikrin. And because of the Zaitsev trade, they're able to make the deal. And we have to find out what they do and from there. Because there has really been no confirmation from, like, Elliot Freeman or Darren Dreger or any of those guys.
Yeah, and even looking at the hockey news, I mean, there really isn't a whole lot that was really mentioned in there other than the fact that trading Zaitsev, I mean, gives them now like almost $18 million in cap space. So basically they'll have more than $20.7 million for next year. So they're going to be in good shape. They're going to have money they can work with. And plus, I mean, the fact that they have multiple pending RFAs such as Alex DeBrincat, Shane Pinto, Eric Brandstrom, Julien Gauthier. Currently, those 4 players don't have any extensions, so it gives them money to work around it, which is actually a good thing because now they can at least, have their core in pretty good shape for the next several seasons. They won't have to worry about that, and they won't have to worry about any issues with the cap going up or fluctuating around or anything like that. But it also, at the same time, Ottawa's going to have some stuff that they can work with in the draft, so it goes both ways. Now, in terms of Chicago, I will say this, they're not as bad as Vancouver right now. I will tell you that. I mean, they are pretty bad. Yeah, but I would say in terms of like a team lineup perspective, though, they're not nearly as bad as what the Canucks are dealing with. And
Well, Vancouver's a disaster, but we all
yeah,
know that.
it is.
Well,
And Tocchet made the team worse. Go
absolutely.
figure.
Yeah, yeah, good luck, because that's all trying to get Connor Bedard. But I should mention that the Ottawa Senators also made another trade, but this one took place on Sunday afternoon, and they made a deal with the Devil. And when I said the Devil, I'm talking about the New York Rangers, in which they traded Tyler Mott back to the New York Rangers for Julien Gauthier and a 7th-round pick in this year's draft.
I mean, same thing. It's going to give Ottawa a lot of room to work with. The Rags are building a super team, or attempting to.
Them, the Leafs, and the Bruins. I feel like those 3 teams alone are trying to build super teams.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And of course, Toronto can't get out of its own way.
Yep, and of all the teams, those are the 3 least. Those are my 3 least favorite teams in the league: are the Rangers, the Leafs, and the Bruins. I mean, you know me being an Islander fan as well. I cannot stand them. You know me. I fucking hate the Rangers, dude.
A lot of people do. I mean, I can't stand following them either.
Who, the Rangers?
Yeah.
I figure because you're upstate, I figure you didn't hate the Rangers as much.
Oh no, a lot of people up here don't like the Rangers.
No,
well, we also hate Toronto. Well, at least the team we hate.
Well, that's exceptional. But for me, being downstate and your perspective, being an Islander country, most people down here absolutely fucking hate the Rangers, and they hate the Penguins. But that's a completely different story.
Oh yeah. And of course, with the Penguins not being relevant this season, what they do, they ordered a multi-million-dollar new scoreboard that'll go in at the end of the season.
Wait till they trade another first-round pick to stay desperational in the playoffs.
Yeah. I know, right? And when you thought that Rutherford can screw up that... Well, actually, Rutherford didn't screw up that team majorly bad, but...
Yeah.
But the fact that he wanted out of Vancouver with the way that their GM is going right now, it's like, oh, Lord.
Yeah, for sure.
The rats went off the sinking ship.
Yep. And speaking of trades, there was a trade that took place yesterday between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Arizona Coyotes, and the Golden Knights acquired Dyson Mayo, who's a prospect from the Coyotes, in the deal from Arizona for a 5th-round pick in this year's draft, or in 2024, I'm pretty sure. Or it might have been 2025, I really don't remember. And, of course, Shea Weber's contract. So this gives Vegas some cap to work with going into the trade deadline this year. And so Vegas, and they needed it because Mark Stone is going to be on LTIR, and then same with Shea Weber. So those are 2 guys that Vegas pretty much put on long injury reserve. Those are 2 guys that may never play again. And next thing you know, they have to take on those contracts. I mean, Vegas has to genuinely eat that contract. Well, at least in this case, now they don't have to because Stone's contract is going to be the biggest one. I mean, Weber is almost 40, so... Oh, yeah, there we go. Tage Thompson just scored. It's 2-1 Buffalo.
Nice.
There we go. That's, 37 goals this year?
Yeah.
Damn right. Let's go.
All right. Good stuff. But yeah, going back to Vegas, though, oh, my Lord, they are in cap hell.
Well, yeah. Well, they got maybe about $5 million to play with this year.
Actually, right now, they don't.
Really? I figured that after making that trade with Arizona, I figured they got rid of the contract, then they would be able to make something work.
Well, this is what's on Cap Friendly. Now, keep in mind, this might be different compared to the deal, but apparently Vegas is already in the red. They're 2.6 million or 2.66 million over the cap ceiling, which will be 82.5 million for the season. So basically what happens, you can exceed it by 10% during an off season, but of course you got to be compliant. So that was basically where they were. Now, given the fact with the whole Shea Weber deal, yes, does it help? Sure, it will help. But at the same time, like you said, those 2 contracts are a problem. Jack Eichel, he's been out like almost half the season. That's another cap problem.
Well, that's Vegas's problem, not Buffalo's.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently it's nice to know that Eichel's acting like a douchebag there too, and they don't like him either. So,
well, if they didn't like him, then they should have never have traded for him.
Yeah, but they did, and hey, sucks to be them. We ended up better off.
Well, yeah, in the long term, absolutely. But Vegas right now is a better team than Buffalo.
True. I mean, they are playing pretty well, but then again, they got a lot of issues to worry about, and especially if that injury bug bites them again, like it did last season. I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs.
Well, based on the playoff standings right now, Vegas is up by 2 points in the Pacific Division over the LA Kings, and they are 3 points ahead of the Oilers and the Kraken. So it's not even a guarantee that Vegas wins the division this year, but what is a guarantee is that they most likely make the playoffs.
Okay, unless there's something drastically wrong that happens.
Well, the only thing that drastically goes wrong is if, God forbid, like Logan Thompson gets hurt, who I'm convinced at this point is going to be the future of the crease for Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's the goalie of the future. That's how I look at it, considering the guy went to the All-Star game, and he wasn't even supposed to be ready to come up yet.
Right. Yeah, and Seattle's going to make it tough for them. I mean, the Kings are playing fairly well, so...
Well, the Kings are also young, so they're an up-and-coming team for sure. And I'm not dismissing the Kings, because I think they're a good team. But it's more of just the fact that that LA has got this young core of guys that are competitive, but I don't think they're ready to win a cup again. I don't think for at least a little while.
Right. But they can definitely do some damage, especially in the home stretch, so...
Oh, yeah, definitely. Same with Vegas. Vegas can do the same exact thing. And a lot of people don't like Vegas because of the arrogance, but I personally like them as a team because my best friend, CJ, is a Golden Knights fan. And this was before they had that winning record and all that stuff. So I think for retrospective, it makes a little bit more sense to why I follow Vegas. Because to me, they're the Western equivalent to the New York Rangers. They basically go out and they spend money on anybody they want. And being Las Vegas, it's a huge market.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then it's probably going to be even bigger once they get the Oakland Athletics in there for baseball. So now you're going to have multiple pro teams. You have the Raiders, the A's, and of course you got the Golden Knights.
Yeah. Hold on a second, Brent. Yeah, come in, Brent. Yeah, sorry about that.
You're all good. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do, especially out west. And of course, and one of the funny things that came out this week is, of course, Bettman's talking about the new arena in Arizona that's going to get built. They're like, oh, the Coyotes are going to have a 30-year non-relocation. It's like, really?
I don't believe him.
Yeah.
Boom! 3-1 Buffalo.
Nice. Who got
Tage
it?
Thompson again.
Oh, sweet.
Oh my God! This is getting better and better and better by the hour.
Watch him hit 40 within the next 2 games.
Well, he's already at 38. He just needs 2 more.
I'll put the over-under at 2 games.
Yeah, something like that. I think they got like 5 or 6 games in hand or something like that. I really don't know. But Tage is on a breakaway. Boom. And he just takes the wristy and just takes a shot at Vasilevsky and just scores her right there. Bang!
Beautiful.
Just right into the crease.
Beautiful. So, it's always good when we're winning and we have the show and we can actually talk about live stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And one last thing I think we should also mention is Ryan Johnson is probably going to sign his NCAA contract with the Sabres after this year. Same with Devin Levi.
Cool. And it's going to be good because I'm really looking forward to seeing what those two can do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think it goes against the cap because unless they like sign in the AHL or something like that.
Right. But then again, I mean, Devin Levi, I mean, he's really somebody I want to watch.
Definitely, for sure. And Tampa just made it within 1. It's 3-2 Buffalo now.
Okay.
Ah, great. And Victor Hedman just scored. So we're going to find out from here on out what they're all about.
Yeah. Very true. They can get a win against Tampa. I mean, that's a good win.
Absolutely. But it's too early to tell. I mean, that was just a bad goal that Comrie gave up.
Yep. But, yeah. And that's another thing I want to see go on. I want to see Comrie out of here.
Yeah, I don't see him. I don't see him staying for long hurdle.
4 goals that just got scored in
Yeah.
a matter of like 2 minutes.
Yeah, and Buffalo has the lead somehow.
Yeah, 4-2.
Yeah. Well, it's 3-2, but yeah. But no, I do think, though, that the direction of the Sabres is going in with Devin Levi and Ryan Johnson. If they can get those 2 guys locked up in their NCAA contracts or their ELC contracts, I think the Sabres are in very good hands.
Yeah. And we're going to have a lot of cap money we can work with, which is a beautiful thing. I mean, we could actually do some stuff in free agency and still be under the cap.
Definitely. I mean, again, I don't see the Sabres making that many drastic changes to their lineup as far as the rookie contracts go. But I think it comes down to it. Like, I think it will go against the cap if they each played like 10 games or something.
Mm-hmm. Right. And, you know, and we're in a good position right now because, I mean, I will say this. Adams was not the sexy pick. I wanted other GMs in here. But I will say Adams positioned us well with the cap, and he has learned how to manage the cap. And he has done some very good signings, which has allowed us to have that flexibility where we can do stuff.
4-2. 4-2 Sabres.
Sweet.
Jack Quinn scored.
He's actually emerging. He's playing pretty well lately.
Yep, and Peyton Krebs just got hurt on the same play. But
shit.
Yeah, but it looks like he's back up on his feet, so that's a sign.
All right. Well, that's.
I think Krebs crashed the net, and then that was the end of it. Yeah, Krebs got taken down from the boards. Yep, from Victor Hedman, and then hit head first, and then from Hedman, and then Quinn scored right there.
Okay.
Yeah, it looked more like a boarding call, but at the end of the day, it's 4-2 Buffalo, and if they beat Tampa, that's huge.
Yeah, there you go. Get that 2-goal lead back up.
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah, we just got to make sure we finish out a second and third period, and we don't have that collapse again.
Absolutely. Well, don't jinx it.
Oh, right, of course. But what I was mentioning, and we'll talk about it before we go into the second half. But I mean, we're in a good position cap wise. We have a lot of flexibility right now, and we're not even all the way to the cap, so we don't really have too much to worry about. It's nice with the way he's done it, because the way he structured a lot of these deals early on, especially with Thompson, signing him now when he can do it for cheap. That's actually a good thing, because now we have the assets we can go after some higher end players, and it's a good thing. Plus, we have a good core, and this is something we haven't had in a long time. We actually have a pretty good young core of good skilled players.
I think from retrospective, I think the Sabres haven't had a legitimate core since the early days, like Ryan Miller, Danny Briere, Chris Drury.
Yeah, since the early 2000s probably.
I miss those teams, man. Especially 05-06. That's my all-time. That's honestly my all-time favorite Sabres team in the history of the team.
That was a good team, and I remember that because the only reason we didn't end up in the Cup Finals again and end up losing to Carolina at that point is because of the fact that we were down to our eighth string players at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
We got so injury depleted that we couldn't do anything about it, but that was actually the time when Jay McKee had that nasty infection in his ankle that caused him to be out.
Well, I've heard that he got careless with his equipment, and that's how he got sick.
Yeah, however it happened, I mean, it was just bad timing, but the fact that we still almost made it to the finals, going that far deep, I mean, that's something I'll remember from that team.
Absolutely. And I just have come to learn that right now for this season, Tage Thompson is only making $1.4 million, and his $7 million cap hit doesn't go in until next season.
Nice.
Yeah, same with Dylan Cousins, and he's making under $900,000. So the Sabres are on the right path for sure. I mean, it may kick them a little bit in the cap, but they got some guys coming off the books soon, like Kyle Oposo, who is making $6 million. He's a free agent this year, but they can always bring him back for cheap.
Yep.
Victor Olofsson, he's going to be a free agent in 2024 at $4.75 million. So there's a couple of guys that the Sabres have to work on as far as contracts go, but I think Kevin Adams should be fine. As far as cap wise, I mean, he should be okay from that standpoint. But if they can get some key guys locked up long term, then they're going to be in good hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think he'll be able to do it. There's a lot of flexibility there, so be fun to see what happens. But the fact that we're actually playing meaningful hockey in February is actually kind of nice to say for a change.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, games actually matter.
At this time, yes, it absolutely does matter.
Finally. So, with that, what we'll do, we're going to go into our second half of the show, so stay with us. We'll be right back on the other side. Welcome to Buffalo After Dark, everybody. It's your Wednesday night uncensored, unfiltered, and unafraid sports show. you still up? This episode of Buffalo After Dark starts now. Alright, welcome back to Buffalo After Dark. It is, of course, Tom and Bob here. If you missed the first part of the show, definitely take a look at it later on because we talked a lot about some hockey trades, but we're going to go into football like we usually do. So, of course, if you want to jump on 929-205-6099, we still have another half hour on the show, and we know people watch. It's like, call in. Talk to us. We don't mind talking to you. The link's there.
I mean, unless you're like Andy Van Bitch, then maybe that I think there's a chance. And yes, I did say that intentionally because he can be a bitch on several occasions. Andy Van Bitch.
Oh, man. Just picture if Luffy was here, I wonder what weed he'd be smoking.
He'd probably be smoking something like 2 pounds of weed and then smoking like some Budweiser or something, or drinking some Budweiser. I could see it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Now you're making me want to go back to the brewery when we were down there in October.
Oh, yeah. Budweiser?
Yeah, where we had like 3 free beers. Just
oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That was beer.
That was a fun trip in general.
It was. Yeah. And that ice cold beer, like fresh, like right from the brewery. I'm like, that was perfect.
Dude, fuck yeah. And I got drunk on that first time.
Yeah, and I was like at least 3 beers deep, and I was perfectly fine.
Yeah, and I was like 2 beers in, and I'm such a fucking loser, and you know that.
Yeah, you're a lightweight.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm not afraid to admit it. I mean, I'm a lightweight. I admit it. But then
right.
again,
it's like that time. It's like that time you drank a shot of Jack Daniels on this show or whatever you had, and you were like completely plastered by it.
When it comes to me and alcohol, I don't sit well with it. I mean, I enjoy it, but I don't drink it excessively, if that makes any sense.
Me and Adam got some stuff to teach you there.
Yeah, maybe. At that point, I would think so.
But, it's all good. Actually, that makes me want to have a beer. I don't know. We'll see. But, of course, if you want to jump on, join us. It's all good. But let's get right into it because there's a lot of different stories that have come out in the NFL this week. And there's been a lot of changes. But one of the two biggest changes that we're seeing in the coaching realm. Eric Bieniemy has decided he is not going back to the Chiefs as the offensive coordinator. He's taking the same job with the Washington Commanders. And then Vance Joseph is going to be making a change as well.
I don't even know where to begin with that. First off, I want to say congratulations to Eric Bieniemy on that new job he's getting with the Commanders. I think he specifically left because the Chiefs would just continue to give him 1-year deals. I think he wanted to go someplace that would give him a multi-year deal, or if he's given a coaching opportunity. But I'm happy for Eric Bieniemy. I think it's a huge blow to Kansas City because the candidate I've heard that could replace him is former Bears head coach Matt Nagy.
That's a downgrade.
No, it's not. I think losing Bieniemy sucks, but then again, who runs the show, Bieniemy or Andy Reid?
Right. Very true. And Andy Reid does a good job over there. I mean, he's one of those coaches. Yes, it sucks that the Chiefs won again, but at the same time, unlike Belichick, who I think is a freaking cheat and basically couldn't do anything without Brady, Andy Reid's proven he can do stuff on his own.
Yeah, and plus they also had Patrick Mahomes and Donovan McNabb and Michael Vick and Alex Smith. Andy Reid's a good coach. He knows what he's working with. He knows the strengths and weaknesses of the team and all that. But I think losing Bieniemy is a huge blow to Kansas City because I feel like they're not going to be able to run the same type of offense they've had in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Right. And even if we look at some of the changes Kansas City has gone over the last few years, especially when they ended up losing their prize wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, and he goes to Miami. I mean, look at what Bieniemy was able to do. He still managed to make that offense work, and he made the tweaks necessary. So it still actually worked out pretty good in his favor. And I will say, Bieniemy is a really good offensive coordinator, and Washington's going to be better off for it. And here's the other thing, too. I could see this potentially being that coaching move like you were talking about, because Ron Rivera's not getting any younger. And it's one of those, he's in his 60s now, I think. So he's going to be getting up to that point where he's going to potentially look at retirement probably in the next several seasons, I would think. So by having him there now and he can work under Rivera, I think that Bieniemy would actually be a very good coaching candidate.
See, I'm not the biggest Ron Rivera fan. Oh, and to answer your question, he's 61 years old.
Okay. So, all right. So he's a little younger than I thought.
Yeah, to answer your question, listen, Riverboat Ron is a good coach,
He
and I
is.
know, and I wasn't the craziest. I'm not the biggest Ron Rivera fan, but I think it was actually dumb that they fired him. But I understood why they did it.
Mhm.
But Ron Rivera can get the best out of his players, and he's proven it over the years in Carolina and with the Chargers and with the Commanders now.
Yeah.
But the question is, will Washington get exactly what they were hoping for? Or was it just Andy Reid running the show? Because again, I feel like anybody, I should say, whether it's a coach or a player that departs with the Chiefs, it becomes a question: who runs the show? Is it Patrick Mahomes? Or is it Tyreek Hill? Is it Andy Reid or is it Eric Bieniemy? Because LaShawn McCoy made an interesting comment on ESPN the other day, and he said that Eric Bieniemy doesn't run the offense. He doesn't do anything, and he didn't make any trick plays. All that was Andy Reid.
Yeah, that was something I heard that same comment, and it kind of made me wonder. It's like, is it one of those situations where Bieniemy was just a figurehead and Andy Reid completely ran the offense, or what the deal was? But I will say this: Andy Reid's always been a very, very good offensive-minded coach, and he's been able to get a lot out of his players. I mean, look at Donovan McNabb when he was with the Eagles. He managed to get a lot of good stuff out of him. And then, of course, one of the other things I look back to is Alex Smith when he ended up getting traded to Kansas City from San Francisco. And Alex Smith was able to run that offense pretty effectively. And Andy Reid made the beginnings of what was going to be a total turnaround on that team. So it actually worked out in a lot of ways where he did manage to run so many different parts of the show, and he's been very effective at doing that for a lot of years now. And here's the other thing too. I'm actually glad that Reid did not retire after that Super Bowl win, because I know there was some speculation where that could potentially happen. I mean, I'm glad he's still going to be around for a little while yet. And basically from there, I mean, I think now we have to legitimately look at what's going to happen with the Chiefs in the long run. Are they going to be a dynasty team similar to the Patriots, where America's going to start hating the Chiefs because of that? So, but at the same time, I think no one's going to hate them as much as the Patriots. So
that's not true. I actually have met people who have said they hate the Chiefs more than the Patriots.
And I think part of why I'm thinking people would hate the Patriots more is just because of Belichick and Brady all those years.
Well, I also think people would hate the Patriots because A, everybody hates Boston, and B, of all the cheating scandals that Brady and Belichick went through for the last 20 years, with Spygate, Deflategate, and then all that other
stuff.
Spygate 2, yeah. That too.
Yeah.
So, there hasn't really been any, scandals from Kansas City. They're just good, but they're also really, really cocky.
Mm-hmm.
They are very cocky.
And we did see that when we were there in October. I mean, we
saw that
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and we also saw that in the Super Bowl, and we saw that in the Raiders game right before the playoffs, where they did that little stupid fucking ring around the rosy, cringe type of dance. That pissed off everybody. That pretty much pissed off everybody. And even the Eagles are like, dude, seriously? In the freaking Super Bowl? And then all of a sudden, Chiefs fans will say, oh, they're just having fun. And everybody's like, no, we fucking hate you because you're cocky.
Right. It's like I was just thinking about it too, like when we were out there and we saw that Kansas City Chiefs version of Jack Daniels.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, Kansas City alcohol.
They're again, the Chiefs are a good team. I mean, it's hard to point out flaws unless it turns into something like the Houston Astros, where a few years after they won that first World Series in 2017 over the Dodgers, is when the whole cheating scandal came out about using the trash bags as signal callers, and then stealing signs from other teams, things like that. That's where I lose respect for teams. The Patriots, the Astros, things like that. I mean, there hasn't really been anything like that with the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes is just that good, and Andy Reid is just the perfect coach for him.
Yeah, and there's no denying. I mean, Andy Reid will be in the Hall of Fame as a coach.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely no doubt about it. Now he's got 2 Super Bowl wins in the last 5 years.
Yeah, so and now because of this too, with Mahomes winning two rings in 4 years, it basically says that I am now the new face of the NFL.
It's very true. And of course, we're all going to be seeing more of them. So that's a big thing. But But then Vance Joseph getting hired into his new position. Good for him.
I think that's going to be a very awkward reunion because he was the head coach for Denver 4 years ago.
Yep. And now he's back under Sean Payton.
Imagine that. Imagine that. And there's also talks that what was I going to say? And there are talks of what was I going to say? Yeah. So there's speculation. Yeah, of Matt Patricia becoming the new offensive coordinator under Sean Payton.
God.
And I said, have you lost your fucking minds? Why would you want to bring in Matt Patricia, a defensive guy, to run the offense? Have the Broncos just basically don't know, or have they not cared what he did in New England?
It's got to be they don't care because, I mean, obviously, even Patriots fans hate how the offense was this year. Mac Jones was not effective. Their offensive line and as a whole was not effective. They did nothing.
Oh, I'm actually really happy you brought up the Patriots because Don Kleiman from NFL Network came out with a statement, by the way. He says, quote, the Patriots may see a quote-unquote massive gap between Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi, according to Albert Breer. And when asked if the Patriots would be willing to listen to trade offers for Mac Jones, Breer said he thinks they would, and he adds that the head coach Bill Belichick did not appreciate how much Mac handled things last year.
Well, Mac Jones is a bitch. That's how he acted last year.
He's always been a bitch. He's been a bitch in Alabama, and he's going to be a bigger bitch in New England.
Right. And look at all the tantrums he had on the field last year. He didn't accept responsibility for him sucking on the field last year. It's everybody else except him.
You know what's funny? Remember the Thursday night game that Britt and I went to in December when I went to Boston?
Yeah.
That same game was the infamous clip or the sound clip when Mac Jones is like, run the fucking ball, you should run the ball, whatever. Instead of taking responsibility and be like, hey, that's on me, guys. Well, Matt Patricia is not an offensive guy.
Right.
And
he never has been.
So why the hell are the Broncos entertaining this? That's just what baffles me. Yeah. Because you're talking about a guy who was always a defensive-minded coach. If he was brought in as a defensive coordinator, that would make a lot more sense.
It would make 100% more sense because Patricia actually is a good defensive coordinator.
But he's signing up possibly as the offensive coordinator because Vance Joseph is now the new D coordinator in Denver. Because they were also talking about Rex Ryan, which clearly did not pan out in their favor. Because again, we both said that if Rex Ryan were to go to Denver, his ego would rival Sean Payton's.
Oh, yeah. Them two would not get along. And then watch, then Rex Ryan by default, if things fell through with Sean Payton, then Rex Ryan's the head coach again.
Yeah. Whoever ran the offense last year for the Broncos, and I certainly know it wasn't Nate Hackett because he doesn't know what he was doing. But yeah, I will say this. Whoever ran the offense for Denver last year is going to be just as worse under Matt Patricia.
Exactly. And, of course, the Jets hired Nate Hackett. Go figure.
Yeah, go figure is right. And the Jets hired him, and we both said that was a stupid idea. And now there's a possibility of Aaron Rodgers going back to Green Bay. Once again, the Jets, like the Broncos before them, have learned nothing.
Yep. And, of course, that's after Aaron Rodgers went on his darkness retreat like he always does every year.
What the hell is a darkness retreat? Is it like a meditational place for him to go?
It's gotta be. He wouldn't even explain what it was on Pat McAfee's show. It's just something he does every year where he gets away from everybody for like a week or two.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's a prima donna. I think it's more of like, the more I look at Aaron Rodgers every year, I think it's more of like, the way I view him, he's more like me, all about me.
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying what he's done, but it's it is something where Rodgers is going to do what he wants to do. But still, that whole thing with Denver it's pretty crazy. Oh, look who we got.
Andy!
You.
Hey, it's been like 6 months.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, how's it going, man?
Danny DeVito is alive and well.
Just laying 3 pounds of salt outside.
Oh, yeah, that was brutal what we got up here.
Yeah, it's an ice rink everywhere.
Yeah, like literally my garage door was frozen shut this morning.
Yeah.
I literally chopped off 3 inches of ice on my car, literally.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and it's still going to get worse at least through 10 o'clock, so.
Well,
but
here.
I mean, if it makes you guys feel better, I had rain and hail in the last, 2 days.
I'd take that over frickin' ice.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere is even the grass is an ice rink.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard, around noon today, the airport itself had a half-inch of ice, and they had to use a crap ton of de-icer on everything for the
I had to
runways.
use the ice on my car for the first time ever, and it worked.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, Tom, remember
Yeah.
when you just mentioned that the Broncos, or not the Broncos, the Jets hiring Nate Hackett? Remember how we were talking about saying that? How stupid they were bringing him in?
Oh, yeah.
You think that's bad? Because we already knew that Rodgers wasn't going there anyway. You think that's bad? When the Jets brought in Derek Carr for their visit this past week, they told him, and I specifically will say, according to Jeff Darlington on the NFL Network, he said, and I quote, the Jets view Derek Carr as a great quarterback. Yeah, 2 playoff appearances in 9 years, and they believe he could lead them to a championship and be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Derek Carr is no Hall of Famer.
Wow! Are the Jets that desperate?
Wonder if Adam sent him some weed to smoke or something, because there is no way Derek Carr is Hall of Fame worthy at all.
He's not. And yet the Jets are convincing him, hey, Derek, if you come play in the Big Apple, you'll be a guaranteed Hall of Famer. That's like telling a child, hey, if you go to school, you'll get free candy.
Oh, man.
That's not how this works. I mean, I understand playing under the spotlight in New York, playing in the Big Apple for the Jets. I get it, but it's Derek Carr is overrated. And if anything, and it's just further proving the Jets are fucked either way. If it was either Rodgers or bust at this point. Mm-hmm. And yet they're once again proving that if they get Derek Carr, then they just hired the wrong coordinator for no reason at all, and they have learned absolutely nothing from Denver.
Well, let's look what happened. Hackett, he sucked at Syracuse. He sucked here at Buffalo. He sucked in Jacksonville. Somehow the Broncos make him a head coach when he couldn't even make his own damn decisions because he had to hire an advisor to actually help him make decisions. And then he still got his ass fired, and now he's a coordinator for the Jets.
That doesn't make any fucking sense.
And Andy's face is like, oh, I want to say something on this.
Yeah, I know Andy's got something to say because
You can't do anything with that guy. I don't even know why anybody keeps hiring him. Dude's a lost cause.
Well, the only reason I think that so many people hire him is because, he worked with Aaron Rodgers. Okay, if you didn't have Aaron Rodgers, you would not have an offensive coordinator job. Never mind a head coaching gig for the 1 year that you were in Denver for.
He's got a terrible resume.
He seriously does. And Robert Saleh, a few weeks ago, after they hired him, they're like, oh, he's had a great career, and he's turned every quarterback he's worked with into stars. I'm like, by stars, yeah, that's the point. I mean, the only one he's really worked with is Aaron Rodgers.
And Aaron Rodgers was good before him.
Yeah, Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. Hackett is just there. He was basically like a bench warmer for Rodgers because the other guy that worked with him beforehand got a head coaching job somewhere else. Or he got fired or whatever. But still, it doesn't make any sense why the Jets would even consider that. And they think all of a sudden, oh, yeah, Sauce Gardner, yeah, Garrett Wilson, 2 guys who won the Offensive Defensive Player of the Year awards. Big whoopee-doo. You have to build around them. And hiring Nate Hackett, possibly bringing in Derek Carr, is not a key to success. I can guarantee you that. And I can also guarantee you that if the Jets don't make it to the playoffs this year with the current core they have, because they're too talented at this point, if they don't make the playoffs, Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are getting canned. I can guarantee you that.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Saleh had a better second season versus the first season, but you know how the Jets management are. They're very impatient, but yet they make the stupidest moves possible.
Oh, yeah. They make everybody look like amateurs. Hell, they make the Browns look competent.
Well, except for the whole thing with Deshaun Watson's deal, and now, of course, you have Daniel Jones wanting Deshaun Watson money, and you want Lamar Jackson wanting $200 million guaranteed.
Yeah, $45 million for Daniel Jones. Have you lost your mind? There's no way.
He did play better this season because Dayball actually knows what the hell he's doing and how to make an offense work. But him wanting that kind of money is absolutely insane.
I mean, if that's the case, then just show him the door. honestly. Just laugh on your way out while you're at it. Because that's how corrupt. I'm not saying the Giants are bad, because Dable, and I've said this expression before, that, life gives you lemons and you made lemonade. That's exactly what Dable did. And he took a team that had almost no talent on offense. All of a sudden, they make it into the second round of the playoffs. Yeah. Oh,
and he had one of the biggest upsets of the year in the playoffs.
It's ridiculous. I mean, beating the Vikings, which we already knew they weren't going to win shit, and then now, I don't even know.
And him poaching Wink Martindale was smart.
Yeah, thank God for Wink, because Wink is the only reason why the Giants' defense is where it is today. And watch them go out to get more receivers and get a decent offensive line or whatever, because now the Giants have bigger issues to worry about, because it's not a guarantee that they're able to retain Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley, because supposedly Saquon Barkley and the Giants have a gap in their quote negotiations, and he wants around more than $12 million per year, which I think is fair for a running back, but he wants more than that, and I don't know who's going to pay him that kind of money, because I have heard that if he doesn't get a deal with the Giants, there's a chance the Eagles could potentially trade for his rights and then sign him to an extension.
Ooh, that'll be an even tougher team.
Oh, yeah. Well, Miles Sanders is also a free agent, so
right.
Who knows? I mean, it's a very deep class this year for running backs in free agency or even in the draft, unless you count the one guy on the roster, which is Bijan Robinson, but we don't even know what's going to happen to him yet, because there's so much speculation about these guys that some of the shit could very well not be true at all. I mean, it happens, and it's part of the game. I mean, rumors come out all the time, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. $45 million for Daniel Jones, more than $12 million for Saquon. I don't know. The Giants are not in cap hell. They just don't want to pay him more than what they're expected to be given.
If I had to choice between the two, I'm paying Saquon Barkley and saying F you, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, what do you think, Andy?
Well, he's definitely not getting 45. I don't know what dreamland he thinks he's in. If he's lucky, he'll get 20 to 25 at that, but he's definitely not a $40 million quarterback, that's for sure.
Definitely not. I mean, if anything, I think if anything, for a fair market deal, I think Daniel Jones should get at most $30 million for 3 years.
Either way, he's not a 45 or a 40 per million dollar quarterback. He's not at that level. He's not in the top tier of those quarterbacks. But it's nice for him to think he is. I mean, I guess swing for the fences if you think you're that good, but you're not there yet. No. Sorry, Daniel Jones, but you're not there yet.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good comparable. Who do you think's better, Daniel Jones or Heineke?
Heineke or Daniel Jones?
Yeah.
Well, I gotta go with Daniel Jones only because
Jones by a small margin.
Well, I mean, we really don't know, but
it's really close.
I mean, Danny Dimes is no better. I mean, if Dwayne Haskins, may rest in peace, if he was alive, I would have took Haskins, but Daniel Jones, I think, is better than Taylor Heineke.
Let me see what Daniel Jones gets for better receivers, and then maybe we can talk a little bit more.
Yeah, they're drinking so much of that Buffalo Bills cocaine that Isaiah Hodgins believes that Daniel Jones could turn into Josh Allen.
Oh, that'll never happen.
No, it will not. There's even people out there who have the audacity, and these are coming, keep in mind, these are coming from the same people who said that Josh Allen was going to be a bust 5 years ago, and they're comparing Will Levis to Josh Allen.
Again.
Watch more film. I've only seen small amounts of film on him. Seems to be pretty accurate, but I don't know. I'd have to watch more film.
Right. But I can see Carolina trading up for him for like the 4th overall or whatever. I really don't know. I mean, the draft is so unpredictable. Like, you really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Chicago might trade Justin Fields. The Texans might take Bryce Young. Well, we really don't know. I mean, it could happen.
I think the Bears will trade the first-round pick out.
They have to. I mean,
they don't need a quarterback. Everybody else is looking for a quarterback. They can easily back out and regain more picks. That'd be the smart thing to do anyway.
Right.
Well,
at least get like 3 picks out of it.
Well, I mean, would you rather have Justin Fields or would you rather have Bryce Young?
I'd rather have Justin Fields.
Interesting. What about you, Tom? Who would you rather have?
Give him some receivers and a better line. I think he'd be fine.
Right.
Well, I mean, you have the most cap in the league, and you have the first overall pick. So the Bears are in a very good position.
Right.
Oh,
But then here's the thing: if you go after Bryce Young and then you trade Justin Fields, what are you even going to get in return for him? That's where I think it's more questionable when it comes to that, because you're probably going to have teams that are not going to want to give up a lot for Fields, given what the situation is with the Bears. And kind of what Andy says, and I'll go along very similar to what he's mentioning here. If the Bears are actually smart and they get good receivers around them, that should work itself out. Because that's one problem that the Bears have had for a long time. They just don't. They have a shit wide receiver core. that's just straight up what they've got.
Well, yeah, but
Same thing with Josh Allen.
Right.
Stop him from running around so much. Get him better receivers.
Right. And I'm still not 100% convinced on Gabe Davis, but we know Stephon Diggs can do everything he needs to. Get him a legit number 2 that he can work with.
Yeah,
they can easily get that in this draft if they want to. We can get 2 guys if they want.
Yeah. I'm actually glad, Tom, you brought up Stephon Diggs, because there's a lot of bullshit rumors online on Twitter specifically saying that quote, Stephon Diggs wants out of Buffalo and he'll want to getting
out of here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he'll demand a trade and he'll go to the Cowboys, play with Trayvon. Well, why don't you just send Trayvon to Buffalo? It'd be so much easier.
There you go. There you go. And they were doing that last year. They were saying, "Oh, well, Diggs wants out. He wants to play with Trayvon Diggs." All that. Yeah, that never happened, obviously.
Well, and plus, if they trade Stephon Diggs, the Bills are going to be in the biggest cap situation in recent memory since like the whole Marcel Darius thing, if you remember.
Oh, don't remind me of that.
Yeah, but luckily for Brandon Beane, he was able to trade that contract. But if they trade Diggs now, then that's going to put them into more cap restraint. So why do what you do? And the only people pushing this is the media, because at the end of the day, people are going to take that playoff performance in January against the Bengals, and they run away with that narrative that, oh, Diggs is a malcontent, he hates Josh Allen. I'm like, no, that's not what happened. Everybody just wants to win. I don't blame the guy. But it's more of just the fact that, he wants more players around him to help him succeed. And I think he wants to win the Super Bowl as badly as anybody on the team.
Right.
In Buffalo.
Yeah. And after that playoff game, I'm glad Diggs was pissed off about it.
Yeah,
I want to see that because it shows he actually cares.
Yeah, and everybody else around him doesn't. And you know what? I think we're going to see a big transformation on the Bills' offensive line in the spring. I know Andy has a very different opinion about that, saying, they don't have the cap to do it. But you have to take into consideration that they have players in their system that have money, like Allen and Diggs and Miller and maybe Trey White if he's willing to restructure more money. I mean, I'm sure he will. But, it's more of just you want to build around these guys for the long term, because if you're able to restructure those contracts, the Bills are in very good hands for the cap. And there's also been rumors about Derrick Henry being traded to the Bills, which I know Andy also said he's against. But you got to get a running back. You just cannot rely on Devin Singletary. You have to get an established running back to win the Super Bowl. You just don't have a choice.
There's so many ways this thing can go.
I
I've read somewhere that there's I haven't read the article, but there's something where it read that the Bills can free up about $50 million in cap space doing such and such moves. I haven't read the article yet. Until I do, I'll see what I can form out of what was said in that article. But it's tough right now. Until they. That's why I'm not into worrying about football right now, because there's just so much other stuff going on with hockey. I'm not even worried about it right now. I'm sure the people that are doing the calculations will do so. Over the course of the time, and then, Bean's going to have to figure out his moves. But right now, I'm not even focused on that. I'm all in on hockey right now.
Yeah. Well, it's understandable, but free agency is a big factor this year because the Bills have to make this nut up or shut up kind of moment. Even if they go over the cap, they have to somehow make a push because everyone is now starting to say that Buffalo's window is starting to close. Why? Because you had one bad performance in the playoffs?
As long as Josh Allen is there, the window will never close.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What is that? What is it that people are talking about? As long as Allen's in Buffalo, which is going to be for another 5 years, and I know, and I get it, his cap hit comes in this year, but it's you got so much to work with.
You just keep retooling and retooling till it all works out. I mean,
Yeah.
they can get to they can get to the playoffs, and as long as they can get to the playoffs every year, they got a chance. So I don't care what anybody else says, and they're just out of whack because they haven't won a Super Bowl yet, or they haven't gone to the AFC Championship game again. Other than that, let them talk. And they're talking out of their ass.
Yeah. I mean, I'll honestly take us going into playoffs and losing in the playoffs versus no playoffs at all. I mean, we dealt with that for 17 years. It's like, it's actually nice to talk about playoffs every year now.
Right. I mean, I understand what the narrative is, but it's like you want to make these financial decisions for what's best for the team. I mean, the Bills didn't have to get Von Miller, but they did it because he was a key piece to possibly a Super Bowl run. You have to do the same thing for Derrick Henry, possibly, or Saquon Barkley. And we've been talking about this for 6 months at most about a running back. We've been talking about this, that Devin Singletary is not the guy.
Right.
I mean, he's good, but he's not a starting running back for his size and the height and the speed. He's not consistent. You need someone who could win these kinds of games by himself. I mean, Derrick Henry is a good example. I would rather have Derrick Henry on the Bills right now than Devin Singletary.
Well, here's a question I'll pose to both of you. Why are we not using Nyheim Hines more?
Well, that's going to be on Dorsey to figure that out because he is the offensive coordinator. And it's also Dwight Darman as well.
He's going to have to sit there this offseason and draw up some plays for him and get him involved. I mean, you couldn't trade for this guy and not do anything with him. I mean, that was a big sad part of that trade, is that they had nothing drawn up for him when they got him.
Right.
Except for some screenplays, but those were seldom. And
yeah, he virtually just threw him on special teams.
Yeah, I mean, you don't trade for a guy if you're gonna just leave him on special teams. I mean, it's not like he's not great on special teams, but they got him for those passing down situations, and they didn't use him. So hopefully he gets on the board this summer and gets a good 20 different plays for him, to utilize him. If he's going to be the second running back, I mean, that's what I'm assuming he's going to be, at least the second.
Yeah.
Or the third, whatever.
Yeah.
But
at least use them.
Yeah,
the Bills do need a big back. They really do. I've said this for years. They need a big back who can pummel away through the lines. But I'm not going to pay a hefty price for Derrick Henry. I mean, he goes quiet in the playoffs every year, so I don't. So I'm not the biggest. Like, I like him as a player. Don't get me wrong, but when it comes to the playoffs, I don't know if he's that guy to get you over the hump. Really, I really don't.
Right.
Yeah, but if you put Derrick Henry in a situation to succeed, if you put him in a decent offensive line, I think Derrick Henry would.
He's had good lines, though. He's had good lines.
Yeah, Tennessee has not been a bad team for the last several years.
The lines have been.
Well, what I'm saying is like, what if you take him out of the equation? The Titans wouldn't be anywhere near relevant without Derrick Henry. He's hands down their best player. So if you trade him to a team like the Bills, or just not even entertaining ideas here, like the Eagles, then I think Derrick Henry would really thrive behind that solid offensive line, because the Titans are starting to derail very quickly. They're starting to close their team down. Not relocation by any means, but more of just trying to blow up the core and start over. I mean, look at Taylor Lewin, their best guard for the last half decade. He's gone. He's a free agent, so he's a possibility that Buffalo might look at. Or
they had a huge collapse this year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Not the Bills. The Titans are overrated, and they proved it. You can't win in this league with just a running back. And that's why possibly I'm entertaining the idea of Derrick Henry coming to the Bills, because for one, you can actually get assets for him. And at this point, you're willing to make this deal to possibly make it happen for them to get better, because that's a big thing they were lacking on, is the run game.
I mean, it's a matter of fact, we have to get better in the run game, but we also need bigger people up front that can actually hold off the defense.
I mean, am I wrong about this? I mean, they needed a running back for a while. I mean, I get it. I mean, I was under the impression when they traded for Hines that he was going to be a full-on running back, but Bean specifically said when they traded for him that he was going to be on special teams. I mean, the guy literally scored 2 kick return touchdowns against New England. So,
I mean, I don't want him relegated like Devin Hester was when he was with the Bears. It's like, yeah, Nyheim Hines, he has speed. He can obviously catch a ball. use him. I mean, shit, even throw him in the slot if you needed to, or whatever you got to do. But at the same time, I mean, Naeem Hines has speed. James Cook, we saw some good flashes during the season. Devin Singletary, I'm still not convinced.
Woo!
Was it 5-2?
Thompson with the hat trick. Thompson with the hat trick.
Ooh, was it 39 now on the season?
39.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
Just keep a two-goal lead. Just keep a two-goal lead, please.
Yeah, let's not have that
You gotta
collapse.
You got to score 5 to 6 to beat these guys. You have to.
Oh,
Yeah, Tampa just scored. It's 5-3.
I was saying, who got the assist?
I don't know. Darlene flipped it up to center ice, and then whoever the Tampa player is knocked down right on the Thompson's stick and took off.
There we go.
Well, it's 5-2 Tampa. Sorry. Oh no, sorry. It's 4-3 Buffalo. You said right?
5-3.
5-3. Okay, so I'm
You're
behind.
You're behind. It's coming up.
Good job, Thompson. Yeah, another
Well-
hat trick.
Well, wait. What's the time on the game in your clock? Because I'm at 13:55.
It's coming up because he scored. It's 13:42.
13:42. I'll keep that in mind because right now the score sheet is 4-3 Tampa.
Yeah, so you got about a 15-second delay then.
Yeah, that's the thing I
Probably.
hate about center ice because center. I mean, I've been using this program for about 20 years, and I can tell you, just noticing this now, it's like 20 seconds behind.
Well, it's like that when I use the cable app that I can run on my computer and I can wirelessly cast it to my TV. It's like the same thing. It's about a 15 to 20-second difference.
Oh, I see.
So
They could have had the 6. It could have been 6-3 right now. Thompson could have had a fourth if Skinner made a pass on a 2-on-1, but Hedman got a stick on it coming across. So could have been 6-3.
Yeah. So I guess
Yeah,
no.
I'm telling you right now.
Well, he's definitely getting 40, and I'm still putting it at over under at 2 games.
Yeah,
Sometime within the next
that's
2
it.
games, he's going to hit 40.
Yeah, this is hat trick career number 5 for Tage Thompson. But I'm just gonna say this would be a monster win if they beat Tampa Bay tonight.
Well, it's a much needed win for us to be in playoff contention.
I think Pittsburgh. Yeah, and I think Pittsburgh is getting blown out. I think they're playing Edmonton and they're chanting fire, Hextall.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, the Penguins are derailing very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Adams is in attendance tonight. He made the trip, so come on.
Kevin Adams where?
He's at the game.
He's at the game. He made the trip.
To what game? In Pittsburgh or?
No, this game versus Tampa.
Oh, versus Tampa.
Yeah,
I thought you meant like, there was a scout in Pittsburgh or
no,
something.
he's on the Florida trip.
Oh, Bobby, to answer your question, Pittsburgh's getting blown out 6-1. And there's still like 13.
Yep, against
left.
Edmonton. I'm thinking,
That's great.
fuck. I mean, what else is there left?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Rangers are losing 3-1 to Detroit, if that's any help.
No, it does not help. And I hate
No,
the
we
Rangers.
don't. Yeah, we don't need Detroit to win.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, yeah?
And St. Louis is beating
Detroit,
Vancouver.
Ottawa,
So,
Florida.
Because I'm pretty sure Detroit is up by 2 points with Buffalo in hand. I'm pretty sure.
yeah. Well, let's go over the score. So, I mean, right now with what we have, and we'll get back into our football stuff in just a few moments, but St. Louis is up on Vancouver 1-0, and there's 15:45 in the second. Vegas and Calgary just got started. Detroit's winning 3-1 against the Rangers at the end of 2. Then we also have, on top of that, Minnesota Wild is beating Columbus 2-0 with 11:37 left in the third. Kings and Devils are tied at 2 with 10:35 left in the third. Then, of course, 6-1, Edmonton's beating Pittsburgh, and there's just a little over 13 left in that. Obviously, we're winning 5-3. Washington's on a power play. They're tied against Anaheim 2-2 with just under 19 left in the third. And then that's basically what we got for tonight's game so far.
I cannot stand you, Comrie. You can't make a save to save your life.
He's got
Yeah,
some rebound issues, too.
I actually read a report saying that the players on the team were like, we need 3 goalies. And I'm like, why do you need 3 goalies?
Well, Comrie can't do shit. That's why you need a third goalie.
Well, maybe that's why they just gave up another goal, because Comrie can't stop shit.
I mean, he's got worse rebounding problems than many other goalies I've seen in a long time.
I would say he has worse rebound control than Evgeny Nabokov when he played for the Islanders.
Yeah, that's
Oh, it's
saying something.
I mean,
If he doesn't get another damn good defenseman by next Friday, I'm gonna flip shit. I swear to God, guys, I am going to flip. Like you got to reward this team with some
Right.
better.
Get him
Like, this is-
something.
I think they'll do something, but and I remember Andy was like, "Well, the Bills are not going to do anything at the deadline." And I remember saying to you, "They're going to do something." And boom, 2 minutes before the deadline ended, they got friggin' Naheem Hines.
Yeah, they couldn't even use him right.
Well, obviously they didn't do that, but I think next year they're going to do it. I think they're going to give
They have
Hines
to.
time.
Right. But yeah, going to Andy's point though, I mean, getting someone like a Chikrin in here or getting someone like a Timo Meier, I mean, you gotta do it.
I don't see Meyer coming, but if Arizona's going to keep the price that they want, then I don't see Adams doing that. Even though I could easily facilitate that trade, but that just depends on how he feels about players like I do. But I mean, it's easily doable if he, throws the right players in.
Yeah.
But
plenty of
there's
cap to
also
work
other defensemen that they can grab that are out there. But we'll see. I mean, all these defensemen are being scratched, and they're all going to wait. So we'll see. But I mean, I wouldn't overpay like Boston just did with fucking Orlov.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
God, we talked about that in the first half. And I'm like, holy Jesus, when I saw
Bit
that.
of an overpayment. But
Yeah.
like I said, it's all in for Bergeron. He's done after this year, so you're gonna.
Yeah, I mean,
look
there's
at the
super
form.
teams everywhere. You have the Rangers trying to get Patrick Kane again. You have Toronto getting Ron O'Reilly. You have Boston going all in. So I don't know. I feel like the Eastern Conference is going to be this year, especially come
It's gonna
playoff
be
time.
loaded.
It's going to be loaded. Yeah, and I hate to say that. And I made this comment to Tom earlier, Andy, just in case you missed it, is that I said of all the teams that was possible, the Rangers, the Leafs, and the Bruins, my 3 least favorite teams in the NHL, are all trying to be juggernauts in the playoffs this year.
Well, they're all gonna age out soon, so they're all gonna go all balls in. I mean, except for really Toronto, but I mean Tampa, Pittsburgh, Islanders, they're all getting older.
well, the Islanders are probably going to have to trade some guys. I mean, they're going to have to get younger at some point, and I agree with that. But the Islanders are also competitive for right now.
Yeah, semi-competitive.
Yeah.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared of the Islanders this year like I was in past years.
Well, I mean, they can make some noise in the playoffs. I mean, if they get past Boston, then that's the end of it for the Bruins.
If they get to the playoffs, I mean,
Yeah, true story.
Well, actually,
Lambert's not having a good season behind the bench.
trust me, I don't like Lane Lambert. I think he's too conservative.
look at the Capitals just giving away. Orlov is a very underrated good defenseman. So I mean, are they not expecting to make the playoffs? I mean, they said they weren't gonna take while Ovi's there, and getting rid of pieces like that. I don't know if they feel as confident. So.
Right.
Yeah, I think if there's anything that solidifies that trade, it defies 2 things. The first one is the Capitals are not confident that they'll make the playoffs, and the second one is that it also proves that the Bruins are out on Vladislav Gravikov because they were talking about him being traded for a first and a third, and the Jackets were going to give the Bruins time to work out a deal, and they traded Craig Smith, but not for that purpose.
No, I mean, I forgot. Is Gavrikov a UFA after this year?
Yes, he is. Yeah, Vlad Gravikov is a free agent after this year.
Unless he wants to sign, I wouldn't give a hefty price for him.
Mm.
I mean, there's a lot of good defensemen out there. It's just that's why I want to bank on Chikrin because he's perfect for the age. He's perfect for this team and what Granado likes to do. He comes cheap at $4.5 million. I mean,
Right. That's a
they
good
could give
deal.
up some young talent. They got another 4 picks in 2 rounds this year. I mean, it's just I don't think Adams would be comfortable, and who knows what the Coyotes would be wanting as players. You know what I mean? Like who knows what they want from us?
Well,
Yeah.
Here's an idea. I mean, if they were to possibly want Victor Olofsson in return, I mean, there is an option.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would. Everyone's yip-yapping about Olsen and his 20-goal seasons and this and that and the third. It's like, come on, man. He's not part of the plan. Anyone can tell you.
Mm-hmm.
He's a third line. I mean, yeah, he bumped up to the second line right now because, Cousins has, nobody with him right now. I mean, JJ is 0 for the world right now.
Right.
But there is, oh, damn. I'd never seen Donnie Granato so mad in my life. He just stood up on the bench and is screaming his lungs out. Holy shit.
Why? What is that, a tie
I
game?
don't know. I don't know. He didn't like something. He was on top of the bench screaming, and his face turned red.
Everybody.
Nice.
Because you know what it is? I'm watching the game from the Tampa Bay Lightning coverage, so I don't have the Sabres coverage.
No. But I'm just saying, Chicken fits the bill. I mean, give me him, give me Krause. That'll solve two problems in one foul swoop. Yeah, you might have to kind of pay a little bit more, but you know what? These guys got so much currency, it's ridiculous. Like I don't know.
Yeah, and we were talking about the cap earlier. I mean, and right now we're in a great position with the cap.
Yeah, because Thompson's cap doesn't go up until next year.
Well, even with Thompson and Cousins, I mean, they still have lots of cap.
They're still in great shape.
I mean, there's $60 million to the cap floor. I mean, come on.
There's a lot of money that they can use, and it's not like Toronto's situation when they traded for O'Reilly, and then they basically are in cap hell on top of cap hell.
Toronto and Buffalo are in two different categories right now. Because as I know, Buffalo, obviously, they're a young rebuilding team. They got some young guns, and they're old, and they're younger than the Maple Leafs. We all know this. But Toronto is now fighting for their credibility for this modern era. Because everyone knows that if Toronto loses again in the first round, and they're most likely going to play Tampa Bay in the first round, because we all know how good Tampa is, there's a chance that if they miss out in the first round again, the Leafs are going to blow up the core. Meaning Matthews is going to leave, Tavares is probably going to, get traded or whatever. Nylander's gone. The Leafs are going to be in complete dismantlement. Well, I mean, it's going to be hard to trade those contracts. I mean, with Tavares making $11 million, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, the Leafs are, and of course, Ryan O'Reilly is going to be leaving as a free agent. I feel like this is going to be the last chance for this current Toronto Maple Leafs core. If they don't get past the first round, they're done.
So here's an option. I'll throw us out there, and I'm not saying this will happen. What would you say if Ryan O'Reilly wanted to come back to the Sabres?
No. Fuck him. He already said, I lost my passion for the game. He can go fuck himself.
I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'd be on the fence with it. He'd be the number 3 center, but I mean, I wouldn't give up the farm like Toronto did for him. Right. No way.
Well, that's Toronto's own fault. Toronto is in desperation.
Dubas is a dumbass when it comes to that.
Yeah, and you know what? Guess what, too? The Leafs are also going to be shorthanded in the playoffs on defense because Jake Munsson's done for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their defense is not very good at all.
No, it's not.
They're really banking on their offense to really pull through.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Pittsburgh did, like when Sidney Crosby first came in the league. They're like, well, our defense sucks. We're just going to outscore you by like 6 goals a game. That was Dan Bielema's philosophy at the time.
Well, I will say this. The Leafs every year, the Toronto Maple Leafs always go over the target every year. It doesn't matter how you spice it. The Leafs always find a way to fuck it up, especially at the trade deadline. They always find ways of always going after the sexy picks, like the Ryan O'Reillys of all people. Like, do you really need Ryan O'Reilly?
Shit.
Even with Matthews, Nylander, Marner, and Tavares all on the same team?
Now I know why Donnie was pissed.
What happened?
Oh, man, this fucking team.
Why? Why was he pissed?
Because I think they gave us a too many man call, but the guy was going off, so it really wasn't too many men at the time because the guy was going off. But the guy must have jumped a little bit too ahead before the guy. I don't know. I think that's what he was pissed about. They gave Tampa a power play and they just tied it. So yeah,
of fucking course they did. I honestly think they're trying to rig this game in favor of Tampa. I firmly believe this.
I don't know.
But hell, if the Sabres win tonight, great. But who the fuck knows?
I don't know. It's a battle back and forth. I mean, 5-on-5, they look great, but now I can see why Donnie was pissed at that call.
Yeah.
I
So
figured that was going to cost him a goal, and it did.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's actually one thing we can get into, and then and we can cover hockey before we wrap up. We're actually in a little bit of overtime tonight, but the XFL is back, and basically with its first week, St. Louis, DC, Arlington, Houston, those teams all started undefeated.
yeah, and the Battlehawks as we speak are on channel on FX HD, I believe, and they're playing the Seattle Sea Dragons in arguably the first outdoor game in the cold this year. Fuck. Yeah, I just found out that Tampa just tied it.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, you got like that 30-second delay or something.
Yeah, I'm like 15, 30 seconds behind. So I just found out about the goal.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, but no, I'm happy for the XFL that's finally coming back. I mean, it should have never have gotten shut down in the first place since 3 years ago, but I'm glad that the rules haven't changed. I mean, there's a few minor things, but it's not to the point where it's like, oh, the XFL is overrated or anything like that. I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, it's definitely worth something to hold you over until at least till September.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very true. Very true. And then, of course, we'll have the USFL coming back. So, I mean, we're going to have no shortage of football in the spring and the summer.
Yeah, for sure.
But, oh, I cannot wait until draft day, though.
Yeah, April.
Yep.
Yeah. But is there anything you want to say as well? Like, is there anything else you want to say?
I would say I'm still going to keep the over-under at 2 games for Thompson to hit 40. That's my bet.
Most likely.
And then hopefully, all willing, hopefully we go in and land 1 or 2 players by the trade deadline, and we get something going. I mean, we're in the. It's actually nice that we're actually talking hockey that means something for a change compared to like the last 10 years.
And you know what? Take this with a grain of salt. Even if the Sabres miss the playoffs, it's not the worst case in the world, especially for this draft, because Buffalo could very well get into the top 3 draft lottery for Connor Bedard this year.
Oh, Jesus. Can you imagine if we landed him?
Yeah, but then again, if Pittsburgh misses the playoffs again, then if Pittsburgh misses the playoffs and they get the first overall pick, oh my God, they're going to try to keep Connor Bedard as relevant on Pittsburgh as much as possible. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Honestly, I don't think that's fair because then they would be just great. They would just be treated with Lemieux, Crosby, and then possibly Bedard if they miss the playoffs.
I wouldn't even know where to put him. To be honest with you, centerman. Where are you going to put him on this Sabres team? You going to start him off as a third line center as a rookie?
Well, maybe at
that would
first.
be a good problem to have, though. It's like you just picture you've got like 3 powerhouse centers. It's like holy crap.
You know how good the Sabres offense would be if they add Bedard?
Oh man.
So again, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario.
First one in line for a Bedard jersey. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Well, worst case scenario is if they miss the playoffs this year and they get Bedard or Anna Fanatelli, I think one of those two would be just absolutely critical
To
for
be
the
honest
Sabres.
with you, I would rather have Adam Fantilli for this team because this team needs some more good wingers. I mean, they got Savoy at center, Austin at center, Kulich is a tweener. They got centermen up the ass. They need big, nice, Alex Tuck type wingers for Cousins.
Well, are you going based off of needs or are you going based off of talent? Because you're talking about a generational talent.
I mean, this team's lined up 1-2 for a long time at center. They could use more wingers, to be honest with you.
I mean, we're beyond deep at center at this point.
I mean, Savoy can play both. Will he? I don't know. I don't know what he'll play when he gets here, but he can play both.
Well,
Austin center if they keep him, even though I'd rather use him as a trade chip.
maybe. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, if we're talking about Timo Meier, I would probably trade Derrick Kulich than I would Noah Oslin. Because at this point, I think, well, actually, Kulich, I think Oslin would be the odd man out in a deal for Timo Meier. That's what I think. Because if the Sabres want Timo Meier, you have to give up one of those guys.
I would gladly give up Oslin. I have no problem with that. There's some guys that like Oslin a lot more than Kulich, but I've watched Kulich's game, and in big games, he's got one hell of a shot. He plays a nice all-around game. He's getting better defensively in the AHL, so I've heard. So, I mean, he was a steal. To me, he's a steal right where he got picked. And if you have to give up Austin, then so be it. You have another first-round pick again, but this team is low on defensive prospects in the pipeline. So,
well, he was
defense this year.
Well, he's definitely in that. He was definitely in the Sam Reinhart deal for sure. I mean, considering looking back on it, it turned into Yuri Kulik and Devin Levi.
I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
This team needs more wingers, but
yeah, very true. I mean, I'm looking at the prospect pool right now, and it's like we're just kind of depleted in that situation.
Yeah,
For sure.
I mean, they got. I mean, you can even look at a lot of the Russian guys that they got in the second and third round. Poltapov, Kisakov. You can throw those guys in the trade if you want to. I mean, it just depends on what the other team has them rated and what they fit their system. I mean, a lot of variables go into it.
Right. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Is like at some point if they can get some of their wingers up here, like Packer would be one. I mean, I love his physical style of play, and I remember seeing him in the rookie games a couple times, and I mean, he's definitely someone I wouldn't mind seeing up here. But then, I mean, other than him, you really don't have a whole lot to work with because, like we were talking about, Josh Bloom, left winger, but he's one of the few. I mean, you have Margela, you have then Jake Richard, Lucas Rosek, Brendan Byro, which I haven't heard a whole ton with him, but he's playing with the Amherst. Then it's really the list just gets like down to like nothing because you have Weissbach, you have from that point Brett Murray, obviously, you have Berntsen. Then you go to Anders Bjork, who I don't care for. I mean, Pecker, he hasn't come up here yet. I mean, you have Neuchev. I mean, you really don't have a whole lot there.
No, there
Depends
isn't.
on how they're doing and how other teams view them. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
Prokhor
Brandon
Poltapov, another
Byron's really close to the Amherst, but I mean, when is he going to get a shot up here? Is he? He's not going to beat out Savoy or Osland or Kulik.
Right. Exactly. Or other players you have in the NCAA, like Steven Sadarian. I mean, he's not going to beat him out right now.
No.
But other than that, everyone else is all D or centers.
It's a good problem to have, but who are you going to use as a trade chip? If you're going to try and improve this team, there's got to be some amount of players that you're going to have to part with if you're going to make this team better. Because not every one of these prospects are going to make the team. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And not all of them are going to pan out altogether.
No. And right now, I see Middlestat as an odd man out because I see Krebs taking his place as probably as the third line center.
I agree.
See that happening, and then you got to have to build around Krebs. You got to build around Krebs. You got to build around Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
JJ's. I don't know what's up with him, but he hasn't.
He's not been the same for a while.
Yeah,
I think he should
needs
have
to go
stayed in
down.
the AHL. He should have. I personally think they should have sent JJ down to the AHL, let him spend more time down there. But instead, they rushed him up there.
Right, but then again, he was tearing it up in the AHL though.
Yeah, I mean, he deserved a shot and he got it. He won it, but he's been a stalemate since December. The game. He's not as confident. He's lost his touch. He's had four assists since December 22nd.
Yeah, it's
so
not good.
If he has to, go down for the rest of the year and regain his confidence, so be it. I mean, it's not going to kill anything. I mean, it's perfectly fine, especially if you can trade for another, veteran guy. I mean, I think it's fine.
I think right now trading Peterka would be the biggest mistake the Sabres would make.
Well, it also depends on if he can get his confidence back, though. Also, that's the other thing. I mean, that's kind of up in the air right now.
Because how old is he? Like 20, 21 years old?
The Sabres are infuriated right now with the hit on Okposo. Elbow to the head.
Oh, God.
Yep, and of course the league doesn't, and of course the refs don't call anything on Tampa because Tampa Bay is the NHL's golden boy.
Okposo is on fire right now. He is pissed.
Good.
He should be pissed. He literally got hit in the head.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see someone drop the gloves.
Yeah.
Gergenson's they had a scrum in around center ice, but I mean, it's getting chippy now. It's getting real chippy.
Right.
Absolutely.
That
Is there
usually
anything else
happens anytime we play them too.
Oh man, they are fucking pissed. That was Chernak that gave him the elbow to the fucking face.
Oh.
Well, yeah, that's clearly an elbow.
Here comes the hit now. I think. No, never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, he took a three. I mean, Okposo did a 360 coming back around, going down.
Yeah.
No, I thought he caught him like maybe in the.
Yeah, I saw it.
He got him just under the chin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you guys want to say before we wrap up?
No, I'm good, man. I'm ready to watch this game explode.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna probably go into overtime, so it was all good, man. It was nice to see you down here for first time in a while too. We actually ended up throwing in an extra half hour of hockey, so it's all good.
Yeah, we'll have to do it next week too for the deadline.
Yeah, for sure. But all right, guys. Well, of course, as you know, thanks for watching us as you always do. Take care of yourselves and each other. 3 of us are gonna watch the rest of this hockey game.
Yep.
So we'll see you.
Hereby